All right, welcome to All Are Yours. You can now see our faces, and our names are under the faces, so you know who is who.
Wow.
Yes, that's right. There you go. Unless you're still listening on the audio version, then you have no idea what we're talking about. And in that case, good on you.
Or what we
Because
look like.
Or what we look like. Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. But in case you are interested, this is our first, our one and only, we'll see, video version of All Are Yours. So we are releasing on video.
Yeah.
There you go.
Why?
That's right. There, because Sean apparently does not just have a face for radio. He has a face for video.
I have a
So
face for text messaging.
that's right. Yeah, I have a voice for text messaging. There you go. No, but there are a few different reasons why we thought this was a good idea. Usually we think about things, we try to think about things before we're doing something. So we thought about this. And the primary reason is because we would like there to be more people involved in the conversation that Sean and I are having. And we think the most practical way to do that, to invite people into the conversation, would be to have an easier way for Sean and I to record as opposed to meeting in person, setting up the gear. But if we had something like this where we could log on, record a video, and then invite a guest into it, we thought that would be more manageable. So that's probably the primary reason why we're going this route.
Yeah, it's not selfish.
Correct. It's hospitable.
The
That's
goal, yeah, exactly. Inviting people in.
That's
ironically.
Right. There you go. That's
Just
right.
inviting them in how we like them, which is at a distance.
That's right. Each one of us are in our comfortable, isolated room, and they could be in their room also. Yeah. No, but yes, we could do that, I guess, audio only. That might be a little bit more difficult, or maybe a different kind of hospitable.
That's so podcasting like 3 years ago.
Correct.
Just audio.
That's right. This is this now.
Yeah.
So welcome. And if it is for you, again, just audio, if you're listening to us there, welcome to the same experience, except sometimes we might be showing something with our hands now and that you'll totally be missing out.
So. Well, you have legitimate books behind you. I have an off-center door behind me.
That's right.
But I am sitting in the middle of my desk, and actually I have got, they're not legs, they're actually drawers on both sides. So I can't actually, the door is not centered in the room into my little study at home anyway. So, but for those who are just on audio, you can imagine that there's cool books behind Philip, and nobody even knows what is behind me.
There you go. All the books are in front of you. Mine are just for show.
I mean, this is true.
But this closet that Sean is in, this is where the magic happens, people. So this is whatever kind of magic, but it's happening there.
Now it's video magic. There you go. Right here, right now.
That's right. So we'll see how it goes. You could let us know if you like it or not. There you go.
So this is going to go to be video. Means that All Are Yours is now going to have a YouTube channel?
Correct. That's right. So welcome to our YouTube channel. That's what this is. Yes. Hello. Welcome to the All Are Yours YouTube channel.
Because YouTube is an arena where people put their ideas. Correct. And their faces, apparently.
That's right. Exactly right. And that's where we want to be. So this episode is about being in the arena, holding out, being there. And maybe to step back, even apart from us, I think maybe we have little arenas, at least for me, that I'm in. There are people in huge arenas doing really big things that are super awesome. And also people who are paying the price for being in those arenas. So even last week, from the time we're recording this, Charlie Kirk was murdered, assassinated, killed, being in the arena. And we thought it would be relevant to talk a little bit about that situation, and maybe in particular Christians being in the arena and what that takes. What kind of approach, paradigm should Christians have being in those different spots? Charlie Kirk, in particular, was very not just open about his faith, but said that he wanted to be remembered for his courage in the faith. And so his approach being in the arena was not, implicit Christianity. It was out in front and even preaching the gospel in a very dark place. Universities maybe are not just the place that needs the gospel primarily, but also where a lot of the darkness is coming out of. And so him going there to the source of darkness, being in that arena as a Christian, I think is definitely something that we could draw from and learn from.
Two pieces. One is you have loved The Man in the Arena by Roosevelt. I mean, you have talked to me about that before. I mean, I'm familiar with it, but that's a thing like that you have loved for years.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
So you should say some more about that part in particular. Like even that phrase "man in the arena" is probably attributed. I mean, the arena can go back to the Roman arena and the Christians getting eaten in the Roman Colosseum.
Yeah.
Potentially even going back that far in the arena. But obviously, Roosevelt's comment, his whole, I don't even know what to call that. Was that from a speech? Maybe
it was a speech. Yep.
Yeah. So you should say more about that. In addition to the fact that you're a little bit more familiar with Charlie Kirk even than I am pre last week. I mean, I knew who he was, maybe watched a few little clips, but so give us some more on the arena part and then Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, so the man in the arena, that was a quote, a reference to Theodore Roosevelt's speech that he gave April 23rd, 1910 in France.
Okay.
So in Paris, France, he gave this speech. And so, I found the entire speech, but specifically even these couple paragraphs, to be something that I keep coming back to. I find it encouraging, especially when I want to get out of the arena. I want to throw in the towel, tap out. I think Theodore Roosevelt, not just in his words, he was a great orator, a great speaker, but also in his life, I think he was, in a lot of ways, a man worth imitating, being that sort of man, being in the arena. And so I thought maybe it'd be good even to read this couple paragraphs, and that would be relevant.
Read it.
Yeah, so there you go. There you go. So this is Teddy Roosevelt. This is towards the end of his speech. The poorest way to face life is to face it with a sneer. There are many men who feel a kind of twisted pride and cynicism. There are many who confine themselves to criticism of the way others do what they themselves dare not even attempt. There is no more unhealthy being, no man less worthy of respect than he who either really holds or feigns to hold an attitude of sneering disbelief toward all that is great and lofty, whether in achievement or in that noble effort which, even if it fails, comes to second achievement. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. So that was Teddy Roosevelt in April of 1910 in Paris. Um,
And what was he? Do you know what the context for the speech was? Like, what was he?
I don't remember the context of the speech. I have those notes. I'd have to find them. But
No,
yeah, it
that's
was
fine. Yeah.
some kind of tour I think he was doing there. And so Teddy Roosevelt, again, being that sort of man, fought a lot of battles, and some of the literal battles. So he was a man of war, and then also, political, social, uh, certain things. Even in his battles, I probably at this point would find myself on the other side of him in some questions. Um, but that approach of even, being the man in the arena as opposed to the man who is criticizing, sneering, disbelieving, has something to pick at. And
Yeah.
so,
On the sidelines,
right,
in the
exactly,
cheap seats.
exactly
Mhm.
right. Yep. And I think that is relevant to all of us in whatever situation we're in, but even particularly as Christians, I think we are tempted maybe um, to approach questions theoretically, maybe theologically, as opposed to applicably trying to build something, trying to fight for something, trying to make something work, aiming for that reality. And I think it's the Christians, it's the people who get out of just their theoretical cynicism, criticism, being on the sideline, and actually rolling up their sleeves and doing the work, building and battling, who make something happen, or who at least then uh, uh, strive towards that. And so I think that's where the context for that quote is, even the title, "Man in the Arena." And then specifically for Charlie Kirk, yeah, I don't think I've really followed him actively. I mean, I would see snippets here and there, um, but I do admire that approach again of uh, being able to put yourself out consistently, continually, and being willing to again go into those sorts of battles and fights, uh, whether you win or lose, but you're in the battle. And I think that is not easy to do. Uh, and so having somebody like that, even from such a young age, Charlie Kirk, uh, being out there, sure, there's again things that maybe just like with Teddy Roosevelt, we might not all agree on the same things. And even when you're young, having to wrestle through things and figure things out. But being the man in the arena, I do think that Charlie Kirk was um, an example, a very good example of being that sort of man.
Yeah. If I was watching more videos online, I'm sure I would have watched more of his,
Mm-hmm.
just not necessarily my
Right.
arena is my sidelines are different than
Mm-hmm.
watching videos. But I mean, my son totally is familiar with Charlie Kirk, is more online like that, and felt a heaviness last week in a different way. Like it was real to him, which even again since uh, his assassination last week, more information that I've seen come out, or trying to follow the story kind of thing. Uh, Apparently, a lot of people would say that the reason that Trump won the election this last time was due to Charlie Kirk because of the number of young people that actually came out and voted.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, young people have not participated in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did a bunch of young people and a bunch of young men actually vote
Mm-hmm.
last year, but they voted for Trump. Like they voted conservatively
Right.
as opposed to the other side. So a lot of people are giving Charlie Kirk credit for being sort of the tip of the spear in
Mm-hmm.
terms of addressing that young group. And he
Right.
was 31.
Mm-hmm.
So he himself was still pretty young,
Mm-hmm.
but not just going to the college campuses, but apparently being in the arena online where people are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Right. Well,
yeah, go
even
ahead.
like the the college age students and even people in their 20s are typically voting left. And so uh, Charlie Kirk was maybe the primary, if not one of the only, conservative voices, talking heads, who was actively engaging, inviting that group of people. Usually, again, the people who are going after those are the university professors, even a lot of the media, right? That's kind of the college student is involved in all of that. And uh, historically, they've typically voted left. Conservatives are usually the older uh, group of people. So he was being effective. Not only was he being in the arena, but he was effectively being in the arena. Yeah, I heard that as well. I heard that even earlier when like post election, kind of a lot of the effort that went into a lot of the rallying effort, both with Trump and Vance, that Charlie Kirk was a part of, kind of leading the spearhead effort there.
Yeah, I mean, I learned over this past week that it appears that Vance and Kirk were friends.
Mm-hmm.
The vice president has tweeted a few different stories, not just in thanks for Charlie Kirk, but like personal stories where Kirk was encouraging Vance to get more to get into the arena even more himself,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to give encouragement to Vance even before he was selected to run with Trump for vice president.
Mm-hmm.
So Kirk was busy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I've seen Man. I was familiar with Man in the Arena, at least that basic idea, more from sports. When
Mm-hmm.
I was growing up, that was a kind of phrase that you'd hear. And of course, with professional sports, professional athletics, and the media criticism that's perpetual, there's always somebody who's going to be a hero and somebody who's going to be a goat, and that
Mm-hmm.
gives the media a story no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking for people who are winning as long as they're winning, but then they're happy to talk about them when they're failing. They're happy to be the critics and sneer at, oh, how
Mm-hmm.
obviously poor they played or
Right.
whatever it was. That context is not as significant as an actual military
Mm-hmm.
context, or
Mm-hmm.
even um, business. So I think Elon Musk has been described as a man in the arena
Mm-hmm.
who's more than just coming up with ideas. He's
Mm-hmm.
obviously clever. He's smart, has lots of ideas, but then actually building rockets and sending them up
Mm-hmm.
and then catching them,
Mm-hmm.
or with Tesla and self-driving. I haven't been in a car yet that does that, but I've seen way more people online talking about how amazing it is than how bad it's going. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
even the bad parts are necessary in that process for figuring out how to fix it and make it better. But
Mm-hmm.
Musk is in the arena in terms of actually trying to make something happen as opposed to just keeping it in his head. And that is more serious than even athletics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As fun as it is to celebrate or complain or criticize when
Mm-hmm.
your team is winning or losing. But in the business world, that's significant. Even, I guess, thinking about it in terms of buying Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
that was getting in the arena,
Yeah.
and still people are saying, I don't use lots of the other media platforms, but it still seems that people are saying without X, without Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
the other avenues wouldn't be as free for
Yeah.
letting people say what they want to say.
Right. Well,
So
not as free, and even right now, I think even there are a lot more crazies on X than there are maybe elsewhere. But also, like even during this whole Charlie Kirk thing, a lot of the videos, information that you're finding on X, you're not going to find anywhere else. You're not going to see any of that.
yeah. So I mean, that was Musk putting
Mm-hmm.
himself out there
Mm-hmm.
to make that happen. And these are challenges. Getting back to what you said about Christians, because even to some extent, even you and I talking with each other right
Mm-hmm.
now from the comfort of our own
Mm-hmm.
baby closets that have some books in them or whatever. Uh, there's a way in which we're still not satisfied with that. As this is more of, because we're going to post it, so it will go out there to be criticized, and they can criticize our faces, they can criticize, whatever ideas, whatever lack of intelligence we demonstrate, or whatever intelligence we have that they still disagree with. I mean, all those kinds of things. I mean, so this is an attempt to do some more getting out there,
right?
And potentially even with being able to record like this, to invite some other people on and get sharpened at least. But in general, yeah, Christians, and I think probably, ironically, the Bible loving Christians, the doctrine, people who care about truth, I guess, are, at least my experience is, that's the group that tends to then stay in the head,
right?
As opposed to get out and do things. So Charlie Kirk definitely stood out as an example of not trying to be precious about his thoughts, but definitely willing to put them out there and even listen to what other people were saying too.
Yeah.
He seemed to be attentive to what young people are concerned about, what their questions are, even some of what their fears are. And so he wasn't just trying to rally people politically for who to vote for. He was actually trying to give them something objective and true and even hopeful for sake of salvation in Jesus,
Right.
as opposed to just trying to get them to vote Republican or even vote for Trump.
Right.
And it turns out that those things currently do have way more overlap than, so the love of death on the left, whether that's visible in pursuit of legislation for abortion or even certain of the minimum wage laws, like that's actually ultimately at the end, minimum wage laws get you to more death than they do life and flourishing, even though it sounds good. And I mean, right to choose, supposedly that sounds good, but those are all connected, not just politically left, but they are connected with unbelief. And more and more, the guys who talk about Christ or chaos, like, that's not a joke. That's not just clever alliteration.
Right.
It sounds good, but it is actually that clearly of a battle.
Right.
So Charlie Kirk's political comments or political leanings were Christian leanings. And those things go together. But my point in that is, he was taking whatever the doctrine, the truth, the ideas, and he was putting it out there, as opposed to, making his book longer.
Right. Exactly.
More
right.
footnotes at the end.
Yeah. Well, and putting it out there to be disagreed with, to be criticized, to be pushed back against, right? And yeah, there are different avenues, different fields, different subjects. I do think, like what we're doing right now is one avenue. Having a blog or writing, that's also an avenue. But
Putting
also
out the tweets.
That's right. Putting out those tweets. That's right. But there's a certain kind of challenge of doing that live in person. And then even live in person with, again, college students who are high on emotions, not always, or high on drugs, maybe, not always as rational as you'd like them to be. And even
They're
a lot
not
of
high on life.
They're
They're
right.
high on less good things.
That's right. And so there's a certain kind of challenge there where you're putting yourself live in front and you have to interact with it right away. And even, this isn't just, you're going to ship it and then you're going to get feedback later at some point and you're going to have time to respond. But this is a boxing match. You're in the boxing arena, dealing with it that way. I think that's a certain kind of approach that also is really easy to criticize when you're not in that arena. Like, oh, you should have said it this way, or why did you give in here or whatnot? But you're in the boxing match, you're taking those shots, you're giving those swings. It's a lot easier to be that sort of, cheap seat critic, cheap seat cynic. So there's a certain kind of approach that is demanded if you want to be that man in the arena. And again, so that's just one avenue, but expanding that even more broadly, like what you're talking about, business, building certain things there, or even Christians, being in the political arena, applying their faith to that sort of arena and seeing how that plays out. There are some examples of Christians right now in those places, and they're trying to make it apply. And again, we could all be cynics, we could all be critics, and all those people who are in those arenas could be doing it differently and better and more effectively, sure. But again, they're the ones out there doing it. So I think there's a certain kind of even humility that comes with that. Even what the examples you're bringing up of Charlie Kirk, being encouraging to other people who are entering the arena, whether that was JD Vance or I saw a lot of different posts of people who like, hey, when I started off, I got these texts from Charlie, hey, good job, well done, like keep going, whatever, like that kind of approach. I think, sure, there's a personality maybe type that does that, but also the person who has taken the hits, taken the shots, and gets back up and knows what that feels like, to get the hit and then keep going, has a different approach to even encouraging others to do so as well. So that's that. But the other point also that you mentioned, I think is relevant. Charlie Kirk's effectiveness. I have seen a lot of posts. I was surprised actually how many posts on X, on Twitter, I've seen of people. I haven't been to church for 20 years. I'm going. I went there this last Sunday. My wife and I, we're debating starting to go to church with our kid. We're definitely going now. Or a lot of this kind of people being driven to faith, and so even that approach of Charlie, not dividing, not compartmentalizing his politics with his faith, but not using politics as a bait and switch, but making it explicitly connected, and even when it's relevant, making it clear that he believes this kind of politics because Jesus is Lord, and this is how it makes sense, and then even having explicit gospel messages to people, that people have attributed their salvation to Charlie Kirk when he was alive. I wonder how much more effective, maybe, even this situation of his murder is for God to use that to save how many people. So I think him being dead is not even him exiting the arena in that way, where he is still being utilized, even though he's not actually here.
Yeah, I had a little interaction over the weekend with somebody who was irritated that people are paying attention to Charlie Kirk now that he's dead, who apparently were not paying attention to him when he was alive. And I thought that, first of all, that was weird, because if you knew how awesome he was, good on you. And aren't you excited now that more people are paying attention? To me, that seems misguided. That if what you really want is for people to be paying attention to him, then however they're paying attention would seem good. Now, I would like for people to have heard his message. Now that I am more aware, sure, I'd like to have made it so that he could continue on his life with his wife and his kids. Yeah, so I'm not glad that people are finally paying attention to him now that he's dead. And at the same time, when someone believes what they're saying enough that it puts them in that kind of threatening situation where some radical, someone who had come to believe significant lies. However, the Tyler Robinson and whoever else was feeding him resources or changing his mind or whatever was motivating the actual evil that caused him to, fire the shots. That's because there was something that he hated. And I think we can be thankful to God for God giving conviction to men who are speaking the kinds of things that would get them hated like that. And when you see someone who has then finished their race maintaining that truth, that is a different level of platform than somebody who's never faced any criticism, let alone face those kinds of threats. So I mean, we're not the ones who have made the world to work the way that it does, but we pay attention because Jesus died and rose again, but we pay attention because he suffered, and he did that for speaking truth, for demonstrating righteousness. So that's a story that God keeps telling. I mean, Charlie Kirk is not the first murder since Jesus, obviously. The early Christians, many of them lost their lives. They had their lives taken because others hated them for the message that they gave. And they, in some cases, literally then went into the arena to be entertainment for other people, to watch the animals, lions, whatever, kill them as martyrs, causing them to suffer and then die. So this is a story that God does tell when he wants. And I mean, I don't know if this is generally going to be a turning point for our country. I am glad to see the support that has come out. But there have been some other significant events over the last, in my lifetime, or even since 2020, that seemed like they would be the kinds of things that would finally wake everybody up. If this is a thing that continues to gather momentum, that God uses to bring about a bunch of salvations, I am going to continue to be thankful for it. So could it be actually just God taking one man who was in the arena, who was willing to put himself in position to die? I mean, obviously Charlie Kirk didn't go to, take his chair on the stage that day thinking that he was going to die. And yet he knew people don't like him. So if God would use that to grant great revival, not just in the United States, but seems like there have been other countries where there have been rallies in celebrating what Charlie Kirk stood for. And of course, the number of people that has continued to make more angry, who are celebrating that he is dead, means that we actually are still in an arena. The battle is continuing. It's not done.
So, whether or not Charlie Kirk's death is going to be the turning point, for Americans to wake up, that will not happen, I think, if more people, and particularly more Christians, don't get into the arena. Again, whether it is...
he did it. If we say, well, he already did it.
Correct. Yes.
And so we'll just ride his story.
Correct.
And be quiet.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And again, whether that's, politics, where he was more so involved in rallying people kind of in that, political message, or business or other arenas where we are needed to build and to battle, both to advance and to defend. There isn't going to be any sort of turning point if more of us don't put ourselves out there, if more of us don't get over our, precious nature or whatever it is and get into the arena. So maybe on that, what would you say? Are why aren't more Christians in the arena? What is keeping them back? What keeps people from putting themselves out there, from getting out there, speaking out, doing, building, uh, you know, doing the thing that needs to be done? Why do we have more critics and cynics than we do people actually in the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was only going to be like an hour-long podcast.
Give an outline.
Yeah. Well, one thing about criticism is it gives you the feeling that you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
There's like some almost cathartic, but it's a counterfeit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a counterfeit catharsis, feeling of good, like getting the toxins out.
Mm-hmm.
Criticism gives or allows one to deceive himself into thinking that he's actually saying something really valuable and important. And not that there isn't constructive criticism, not that we don't get feedback from negative things, but just complaining about other things makes us feel like we're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess I don't know, would I rather have someone who is just perpetually complaining or someone who is just perpetually complacent?
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a really good question. I'm not sure. Can you turn the energy of the constant complainer?
Mm-hmm.
Can you just redirect the energy, or what? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they might be equally bad.
Yeah, we definitely have a bunch of people who don't care very deeply,
Mm-hmm.
and we definitely have people who it makes them feel good to complain. And I think to some extent, complainers are rewarded in our culture. Criticism is a job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the talking heads on TV, on news kind of stations and things like that, aren't they? They sell things by telling how bad other things are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think maybe we don't go into the arena because we like, or we think we are in the arena because we're complaining.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go into the arena because we are cowards or, we're afraid. And whether we're afraid of being wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or we're afraid of losing esteem, probably most of us in the United States weren't actually afraid of losing our lives. Obviously there are Christians in other parts of the world even today that it wouldn't be as surprising if they were hunted down.
Yeah.
Part of the Charlie Kirk assassination that is so shocking is that we don't generally have murder in public, for a guy who's just talking.
Right.
Usually you don't have that.
Right.
In our situation. So generally Christians probably are not afraid of losing their lives, but they're maybe afraid of losing their jobs. This is why some people are anonymous on Twitter, or I guess, does anybody go anonymous on Facebook? Maybe Instagram. And this isn't a complaint about anonymous accounts. It's just if they genuinely think they could lose their jobs, they would rather just not talk. Or obviously anonymous accounts allow them to make a lot of comments, but yeah, it's just easier to not care. I mean, you and I have talked about care a lot. We talk to our kids about caring. We talk to our young people at church and school about their level of affections.
Right.
And it's just so easy to be on the surface, to find distractions, and even things that are relatively nice distractions. It's not like they're evil entertainments per se,
Right.
but we're just kind of soothed into drifting, and that is way easier than putting yourself out there for people to criticize you.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
so
the.
we can hide.
Hmm.
We can hide easier from a keyboard. Again, in this sense, we're going to put this out there, and obviously people can make comments on the keyboard back at us
Hmm.
and complain or whatever, and that would be fine. I'm ready to learn more things. I'm trying to be
Hmm.
not defensive. Uh, if we ever get to a spot where we can, go to a place and host some sort of debate, or you know invite other people to come and ask questions or those kinds of things,
Hmm.
I hope to be more and more ready
Hmm.
for that. I mean, we have plenty of opportunities to have conversations with people who are unhappy. uh, Generally those aren't with a bunch of um, committed, unbelieving, or even God hating liberal kind of people. Most of my settings don't include that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But if and when I would have opportunity to do that, I'd like to be ready, courageous, bold,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
that means I can't just do and seek whatever is comfortable in all the places.
Hmm.
But that's clearly the easier path for Christians.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. If they, even the complaining part could be a way to maybe make yourself feel better for being a coward or for being complacent. Like, well, I'm not. It's too much work to actually build something, to go out there and do something, or it's scary. And so, like what you're saying, it feels productive, or it feels like you are doing something just by complaining. And a lot of times the loudest cynic maybe is even the most afraid, or the most who's uninvolved. Like I said, it seems like it's true that um, the more in the arena you are, and even the more intense that your arena is, the more humble and understanding you are towards other people in their arenas. um, and so I think complaining, yeah, masks some of that. And so you're able to get away from it. You're able to hide.
It's tough. The Because it depends on, are we talking about a business, a product, a service?
Hmm.
Are we talking about a law? We're lobbying for a particular kind of law to be made, or for a particular justice to be done. uh Mind share, like in a culture kind of thing. Are we talking about that? Because the wickedness does require being called out. And even yesterday, I was referencing at church the proverb that says that the fear of the Lord is the hatred of evil.
Hmm.
And then there's a psalm lyric, I think Psalm 97, that, "Oh, you who love the Lord, hate evil."
Hmm.
And so hating evil, which is required for wisdom and apparently required for worship, for singing, and for the fear of the Lord and walking that way. So that sounds like being pretty clear and even aggressive
Hmm.
in pointing it out and fighting it.
Right. Right.
And I'm not sure how many Christians are good at fighting without fussing,
Hmm.
are good at being clear without sneering.
Hmm.
I mean, there is a kind of laughing that the Lord does against the wicked who think that they can accomplish their purposes, or that God is not even paying attention. Um, there is a kind of laughing, but even that kind of laughing is not a sneering,
Hmm.
and it's not from the sidelines.
Right.
So, as we're trying to think about, and then even try to disciple our kids, try to disciple our grandkids, try to encourage and build up the flock, to be clear and to be combative in the right way without just being satisfied being critical. And maybe that's where if there's no building that's taking place alongside of the battling,
Right.
if there's no community, of people you're connected with these people, so it's
Right.
clear that you're fighting with them, you're fighting for them on their behalf, as opposed to everybody is an idiot,
Right.
Nobody gets it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is, I don't know, not something that Christians have apparently learned to do very well. And you'd
Right.
think after 2,000 years, we would be better at it, like collectively.
Yeah.
So even our little flock
Yeah.
in Marysville, we're working hard to build up the right muscles in the right places. And in a lot of cases, even for us, we are trying to wake up muscles that have been relatively dormant. And the examples that we see mostly online, I think, are largely either just rabid examples of rage, in the name of conservative things, or quiet people.
Right. Yeah. Well, even your point about hatred, to hate evil. Yeah, I think, for hate to be immature, whether it's immature because it's weak, it's not strong as it should be, or it's immature because it's fussy. It's weak in that way. And then kind of the flip side of that is to love good, to love what is true and good and beautiful. And so both of those things, weak love and weak hatred, directed towards the right objects, the proper, appropriate objects, is a type of complacency, like what you mentioned before. It's because we don't care enough. We don't care enough about the true, good, and beautiful in order to love it strongly and deeply. We don't care enough about the true, good, and beautiful in order to hate when those things are perverted and twisted and despised. We don't care enough about those things. And so to be able to cultivate the right kind of care, again, but care for what is good, not just to care to hate, right? So what we hate is when good is maligned. What we hate is when good is twisted. And even again, coming back to Charlie Kirk, he did have a very positive vision. His whole, Turning Point USA was his approach, his vision, foundation, kind of purpose there. Was not about destroying communists or taking throwing down the Democrats or whatever that is. He was promoting a love for America as a nation. He says kind of the top three things that he was getting out there is that America is the greatest nation on earth. The Constitution is the greatest document ever written, or whatever, the greatest governing document, and free market economics is the greatest system, right? So he is promoting this positive vision. He really loves these things, and that's what keeps coming out of it. And I think even that approach of fighting without being fussy is when our focus, when what's driving us is the thing that we love, as opposed to being driven by a negative message or just the thing that we hate. Where again, this is the thing I'm after. This is what I want to promote. This is what I love. And then when things are attacking this thing that I love, I'm defending it. I'm fighting against it. I'm hating it. But the hate, the battle, the hating the evil is in response to the thing that I love being under attack. Where the main vision, the main promotion, the main care is still the love. And I think that's where even where we want our focus to be on building, on building something great, caring enough to advance it. And then in that building effort, we battle because there are obstacles. There are things that get in the way. There's people organizations who are trying to destroy the thing that we're building. So then we are battling there, but the battle is in response to what we're building being under attack. I think some of that approach maybe changes the way we fight, or changes why we fight.
Or just letting other people do it for us.
Correct. Yeah. While we sneer at them. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So what arenas are we gonna go enter? Are we gonna get in trouble for?
Mm-hmm. You mean me and you?
Sure. Yeah. Here we are.
That's right. Or Christians in general.
You can answer whatever one you want to answer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think there are more arenas that I want to get into that I'm currently in or currently able to, that I think are
some
needed.
That are already on your spreadsheet.
Correct. Yes, that are needed to get into. But in particular, I guess our focus and what we really want to do is build out our local environment, specifically our city, Marysville, the arena of Marysville, and seeing the Lordship of Christ advanced, the Lordship of Christ, proclaimed, heralded in the arenas within Marysville. I thought about this a few years back, kind of, okay, what if you could direct all the energy, all the effort and energy of going broad, but into a very specific local target point? If you were to, direct the skills, the competence, all of that pursuit into one specific area, as opposed to throwing a bunch of little stones along the wall, connecting it all together and nailing it into one specific point. I think Doug Wilson had that point in Rules for Reformers, about the concentration of effort. I think maybe that's what he called it. But then concentration of effort in our own lives and our own approach, and specifically for us, is we're after Marysville. Like, we want to take Marysville for Jesus in that way. And I think the center point, the starting point, is our church, the church, right? Where that is where we are naming the Lordship of Christ. We're proclaiming the Lordship of Christ every Sunday in that way. And then out of that worship, out of that center, is where we're trying to go further in, right? So what we're trying to encourage, advance, build regarding even business, regarding politics in our city. We have a few people kind of in our congregation who are involved in that and wanting to promote that more. And that is super awesome, and we want more of that. And so there are a good amount of arenas within Marysville for us to take over, be in, whether we're winning or whether we're losing, but for us to be in those arenas.
Yeah, I think continuing to try to figure out ways in which to expand influence. People don't. Some people don't like talking about it in terms of having more power.
Mm-hmm.
But influence is a kind of power,
right?
So if I wanted people to think a particular way and I worked to persuade them, that's a persuasive influence, a persuasive power.
Right.
So sure, we want the truth of Jesus Christ to be the powerful thing. We want God's surpassing power to be visible, not our human fleshly wisdom or our fleshly power. But there is a kind of responsibility we have in terms of image-bearing responsibility, in terms of Great Commission kind of responsibility, to proclaim that Christ actually owns all of it. That's the only way that all are ours in the first place.
Right.
Is because we're Christ's, and Christ is God's, and God made all the things. So we get them because they are God's, and to be good stewards of them, to be good representatives of the Lord, means that, we push that beyond just our heads. We try to make sure that there's integrity within our own homes and families, yes, but then we're also looking for that to expand
Right.
into then the network of families, into obviously a local church flock, but even as flocks, who confess the same Lord, as they are able to do things together, perhaps, as we have businesses, as we have education, as we consider how we can even encourage, if not become, politicians. I mean, I'm not trying to become a politician, but like you said, we had a gentleman in our church who at least ran for city council and started late in the race, apparently, and still came in third, right? Took the top two from the primary to get on the ballot. He was at least third, which was impressive in a big race. But all that to say, like, yeah, helping our people understand that that's valuable,
Right.
and that it is right to do more than just, be satisfied that we have our Bible studies.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I mean, is power a virtue? Is might a virtue? I don't know if maybe I would call it that is a good.
But what's the proverb? He who is wise increases strength.
Right. Yeah.
That's probably not just in terms of weightlifting.
Right.
He who is wise makes sure he can hit his squat PR.
Right.
Strength of resources, and again, in order to do what?
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah, in order to bless people's lives, in order to represent what is right, and push out evil.
Right. Well, and virtue, not virtue. I do think it's godly in the sense of God is powerful. God has power, right? And so it is an attribute of God. And if we are to image him in that way, sure, their evil also has power, but it's power corrupted, it's power twisted, it's power directed towards the wrong end, it's power for harm as opposed to for good. But I think the source of that is still God. And for Christians to be afraid of power because it's dangerous, yes, like it is dangerous. The same way that a lot of godly good things are dangerous. They're not safe, but they're good. And so
wine is not safe.
Right.
But it's good.
Right. Exactly
Aslan
right.
is not safe.
Correct.
But it's good.
Yeah, exactly right. And then, but the other part of it, apart from it being godly, it does, Christ gives us the motivation to seek to have authority, right? So, like in his parable of the 10 minas, kind of the reward the carrot that he puts there is to have authority over 10 cities. So, like, well done, you've stewarded this well, you brought a return. Now you're going to rule over 10 cities. So that sort of to rule, to have authority in that sense of power that you can manifest again for the good is a carrot that Jesus gives to his people to encourage them to strive after. And so again, that doesn't seem like a neutral thing. It doesn't seem like authority there is just a neutral that can be used for good or bad. It seems like its essence is good, but it can be twisted. It could be perverted. But the essence of authority there is a good thing. And yeah, so going after that, wanting to have that sort of influence, and even what you mentioned, even if you lose, even if you fail, going back to Teddy Roosevelt's quote at the end there, well, then you know what defeat feels like. But if you don't even go for it, you don't know what defeat feels like. You're a cold and timid soul, he says. Or you might know what victory feels like. And that's where, I think that I don't like the phrase sleep like a Calvinist, work like an Arminianist. Sleep like a Calvinist, work like a Calvinist. Like, if God wills, you might actually win. So go for it. Get in that arena. And if you do lose, that's only for your good. Like, you know that God gives you that assurance that he will be glorified no matter what. And for those who love him, all things work together for good, right? And so you have no real loss there. Either it is a dead end and you're going to fail and you're going to learn from it and get better, or you might actually win. So go for it. So I think, like, sleep like a Calvinist, work like a Calvinist, to get in that arena, and do it.
Said by a committed dispensationalist, even.
That's right. Well, yeah, yes. Yeah, soon it'll be sleep like a dispensationalist, work like a dispensationalist.
Yeah, not just sitting around waiting in our bunkers for the rapture.
Correct. Right. Exactly right. Well, again, because the things of earth are real, they matter. They're not just symbols pointing us to something else. These things matter. So win here and now.
Yeah,
that's right. Well,
so here we are. We are about ready to enter the video arena. And if this gets successfully, uploaded, etc., then we're one step closer to entering the arena of maybe having some other people that can join us.
There you go. So you could pray for that. Look forward to that. We'll see what we can make happen. But maybe you'll see 3 heads instead of 2, or at least 3. Yeah.
Amen.
All right. All are yours. Out.